Let me ask you something. Are you losing strength, energy, or tone, even though you're eating clean, exercising, and trying to stay active? Because here's the uncomfortable truth. Your muscles might be vanishing each night while you sleep. Now that may sound extreme, but it's not an exaggeration. Muscle loss or sarcopenia begins far earlier than most people think, often in your 30s, and what you eat before bed can either protect your lean mass or quietly accelerate its breakdown. And here's the kicker. This has almost nothing to do with your workouts. It has everything to do with what's happening inside your metabolism while you sleep, a process most people are completely unaware of. We're talking about your cortisol rhythms, your liver glycogen stores, your amino acid availability, and your growth hormone pulse during deep sleep. If these aren't working in your favor, your body will literally scavenge muscle tissue overnight to keep your blood sugar stable. So you wake up tired, flat, hungry, and with less muscle than the night before. And over time, that leads to a slower metabolism, more fat gain, around the belly, poor insulin sensitivity, and faster aging. It's a downward spiral, and most people are caught in it without even knowing. But the good news is, there's a simple, science-backed fix. You can eat the right thing 30 to 60 minutes before bed to flip this entire process around, to stabilize blood sugar, support growth hormone, protect your lean mass, and even sleep deeper. This isn't about carbs before bed. It's not about eating more protein. It's about understanding the metabolic context, the signals your body interprets at night, and how one small nutritional input can completely change the outcome. In this video, I'm going to walk you through what's really going on in your body at night, why muscle loss is one of the most underrecognized drivers of fatigue, weight gain, and aging, and most importantly, exactly what to eat before bed to stop the loss and start building strength even in your sleep. And if you're serious about optimizing your energy, body composition, or long-term health, this one tiny habit can make a massive difference. So let's get into it. And hey, if this sounds helpful so far, go ahead and subscribe. I share real evidence-based tools like this every single day to help you take control of your health naturally. Let's start with what's really happening inside your body while you sleep. Sleep is not just rest. It's an intensely active regenerative state, and part of that regeneration involves breaking things down, then rebuilding them stronger. But if your body doesn't have the raw materials or the right signals to rebuild muscle, it just breaks it down and leaves it that way. This process is called nocturnal catabolism, and it's completely natural. The problem is, in most people, the balance has shifted too far toward breakdown and not enough toward repair. Here's a simple way to think about it. Analogy. Imagine your body like a construction site. Every night, the workers, your hormones, come out to tear down old or damaged muscle cells and rebuild fresh, strong ones. But what happens if the workers show up and there are no building materials available? No amino acids, no fuel, no stable environment? They'll still do the teardown, but they won't rebuild anything. And worse, the site gets weaker over time. That's what happens in your body when you go to bed without the right metabolic conditions. Now here's the physiology behind it. When you fall asleep, growth hormone is released, especially during the first phase of deep sleep. Growth hormone is a powerful anabolic hormone, meaning it helps build tissue, but it's also counterbalanced by cortisol, which rises later in the night. If your body senses a lack of energy, especially glucose, cortisol spikes to mobilize fuel, and one way it does that is by converting your own muscle into glucose. This is where your liver glycogen comes into play. Your liver acts like a battery. During the day, it stores glycogen, a form of stored glucose. At night, it releases that glucose to keep your blood sugar stable, especially for your brain. But if your liver is depleted from fasting, a very low-carb diet, or poor liver function, it can't keep up. So the body turns to gluconeogenesis, the process of making glucose out of amino acids. And where do those amino acids come from? Your muscle. This is why people who eat clean, fast regularly, and even exercise still find themselves losing lean mass and struggling with low energy, poor recovery, or unexpected fat gain. So what are the conditions you need to meet to avoid this nightly muscle loss? There are three main ones. 1. Stable blood sugar. Through the night. You don't want blood sugar to drop too low, especially around 3 to 5 a.m., when cortisol naturally begins to rise. Low blood sugar triggers a stress response. Keeping glucose stable helps reduce that catabolic signal. 2. Sufficient liver glycogen storage before bed. This doesn't mean eating a bowl of pasta before sleep. In fact, small amounts of strategic nutrients, like a few grams of glycine or slow-release amino acids, can support liver function and reduce gluconeogenesis without kicking you out of fat-burning mode. 3. Essential amino acids, available during sleep. Your body can't repair muscle without the raw amino acids. The key here is to supply just enough of the right aminos, especially leucine, isoleucine, and valine, to keep protein synthesis active without spiking insulin. We'll dive into those aminos in the next section. But for now, here's the main idea I want you to take away. If you go to bed depleted without the fuel your body needs to maintain muscle, your metabolism will quietly tear down lean tissue to keep you alive. And the long-term effects of this include reduced resting metabolic rate, increased fat storage, especially visceral fat, weaker immune function, accelerated aging. This is especially true if you're over 35, under stress, or doing intermittent fasting. So if you're doing everything right but still seeing muscle loss, poor recovery, or stubborn fat, your nighttime metabolism might be the missing link. If this is making sense so far, consider subscribing. I post real root cause-based tools like this every day to help you get in control of your metabolism naturally. Let's talk about one of the most overlooked drivers of muscle loss, especially overnight: cortisol. Cortisol gets a bad reputation, but it's actually essential for your survival. It helps manage inflammation, control blood sugar, and wake you up in the morning. But like most hormones, it becomes a problem when it's out of sync, and most importantly, when it spikes during the night. Here's what's really going on inside your body. You fall asleep, your body begins repairing tissue, lowering heart rate, balancing hormones, everything's going well. But somewhere between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m., your blood sugar dips too low, often because your liver didn't have enough glycogen stored to keep feeding your brain. And that's when cortisol gets triggered. Cortisol's job is to bring blood sugar back up, but it doesn't do that by creating energy from thin air. It does it by triggering a process called gluconeogenesis, literally creating new glucose, and the raw material it uses, amino acids pulled from your muscle. So even though you're asleep, your body is breaking down your own muscle tissue just to stabilize your brain's fuel supply. That's not just bad for aesthetics, it's a serious long-term health issue. Muscle is your metabolic engine. It's what drives insulin sensitivity, protects against diabetes, supports mitochondrial health, and keeps your metabolism resilient as you age. Now here's the real kicker. You might not even notice these nighttime cortisol spikes. You'll just wake up feeling flat or deflated in your muscles, hungrier than usual, especially for carbs, more tired, even after 7 to 8 hours of sleep, with elevated fasting blood sugar or even mild insulin resistance. These are subtle signs that your cortisol is doing cleanup work at night and using your muscle as fuel. So what can you do about it? Let me explain with a simple analogy. Think of cortisol like your backup generator. It's not supposed to run all night. It's only there for emergencies. But if you forget to fuel your system before bed, meaning if you don't give your liver and muscles the nutrients they need, that generator flips on at 3 a.m. And when it does, it starts pulling energy from wherever it can, including your muscle tissue. Over time, this nightly generator mode leads to a chronically stressed metabolism, poor body composition, and early signs of aging. Here's the protocol to turn that around. Nighttime cortisol reduction protocol. 1. Stop eating 2 to 3 hours before bed, but not 5 to 6 hours. If you eat too close to bed, you disrupt sleep and growth hormone. But if you stop eating too early, especially on low carb or fasting, you're more likely to dip into low blood sugar and trigger cortisol spikes. 2. Include glycine or collagen before bed. Glycine is an amino acid that supports liver detox and improves sleep quality. It also helps buffer cortisol. Just 3 to 5 grams of glycine or a scoop of collagen peptides, 30 to 60 minutes before bed, can make a huge difference. 3. Magnesium glycinate or theanine supplementation. Magnesium glycinate helps relax the nervous system and supports glucose regulation. L-theanine, found in green tea, helps reduce nighttime sympathetic activity, the stress response without sedation. 4. Small pre-bed protein dose. More on this later. We'll talk in detail about which protein and how much in section 4, but the key takeaway now is a small insulin-stable protein dose before bed can blunt cortisol, stabilize glucose, and protect your muscle. What the research shows: a study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that elevated nighttime cortisol correlates directly with muscle protein breakdown and impaired insulin sensitivity in the morning. Another study in Nutrients 2022 noted that low-carb diets without evening protein can increase overnight gluconeogenesis, driving muscle catabolism, especially in active individuals. So here's the bottom line. You can do everything right during the day: train hard, eat clean, take supplements. But if your nighttime cortisol is unchecked, your body is slowly undoing your progress while you sleep. And the fix doesn't require medication or a complete diet overhaul. It's about strategic nighttime nourishment, timing your nutrients to support blood sugar, liver function, and hormonal balance. We'll dive into the most overlooked piece of that puzzle, amino acid availability, in the next section. Let's now look at the raw material your body actually needs to preserve muscle at night and why most people unknowingly fall short. We've already talked about how cortisol spikes can trigger muscle breakdown. But here's something just as important. Even if cortisol is under control, your body cannot rebuild or maintain muscle tissue without a very specific nutrient input. That nutrient is leucine, a branched-chain amino acid that acts like the ignition switch for muscle protein synthesis. Without leucine, it doesn't matter how much total protein you eat in a day. Your body simply won't activate the repair process needed to preserve lean mass, especially while you sleep, when your metabolism is running slower and your nutrient pool is more limited. Let me explain this with a visual analogy. The muscle building switch. Think of your muscle cells like construction zones. They need permission to start repairs. Leucine is like the foreman's clipboard that gives the green light. Without it, the workers, your enzymes and hormones, are just standing around doing nothing, even if the building materials, protein, are on site. And here's where it gets tricky. Most people don't get enough leucine before bed to flip that switch on. Why? A few reasons. Dinner is too early or too low protein. Vegetarian meals are often low in leucine-rich sources. People fear eating at night, especially on weight loss plans. As a result, your body enters the night in a low leucine, low anabolic state, and instead of repairing, it slowly continues to break down muscle. Here's what the research shows. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that 2 to 3 grams of leucine before bed significantly stimulated overnight muscle protein synthesis, especially in older adults. Another study in Frontiers in Nutrition 2023 confirmed that leucine-rich proteins taken at night reduce nighttime cortisol and enhance growth hormone response, improving recovery and lean mass retention. So how much leucine do you actually need? Minimum effective dose for muscle preservation at night. Leucine, 2.5 to 3 gram. Total protein, 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, preferably casein or collagen blend. Timing, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Let's break that down into real food. 1 scoop of grass-fed whey isolate, rich in BCAAs, weight 2.5 grams, leucine. 1 serving of casein protein, do 22 grams. Leucine, 1.5 cups of cottage cheese, yield 2.5 gram level. 2 whole eggs, collagen peptides, 1-2 gram. Leucine, important note, this isn't about eating a meal before bed. This is a small, targeted input, almost like taking a supplement to feed your muscle tissue, exactly what it needs when it needs it most. What about people doing intermittent fasting or keto? Great question. Even if you're fasting for most of the day, it's important to remember preserving muscle is a top priority for fat loss and longevity. So it may actually be more important for you to time a small dose of amino acids before bed, especially if you've gone several hours without food. Here's a simple hack. Mix 1 scoop of collagen peptides with a teaspoon of glycine and warm water. It won't spike insulin. It's keto-friendly, and it provides the building blocks to reduce catabolism. Quick reminder, if you're getting value from this breakdown so far, consider hitting that like button and subscribing. This channel is all about helping you master your metabolism with simple science-backed tools. So to sum this section up, if your body doesn't have leucine before bed, your muscle repair switches stay off. And that leads to slow, silent muscle loss over time, no matter how clean your diet is. In the next section, we'll cover what kind of protein to eat before bed and why certain proteins are far more effective than others for preserving muscle overnight. So now that we understand why leucine is the trigger for muscle preservation, let's get tactical. Because not all proteins are created equal, especially when it comes to your nighttime metabolism. What you eat before bed and the type of protein you choose determines whether your body spends the night in catabolism, breaking down, or anabolism, repairing and building. Here's what most people get wrong. They assume that as long as they've eaten enough protein throughout the day, their muscles are covered. But your body doesn't store amino acids the way it stores fat or carbs. It needs a steady supply, especially during sleep when you're fasting for 7 to 9 hours. So if you don't consume any protein close to bedtime, your blood amino acid levels drop, and your body has no choice but to turn inward, pulling amino acids from your muscle tissue. But the solution isn't just eat protein before bed. The key is to eat the right kind of protein, one that digests slowly, releases amino acids gradually, and doesn't spike insulin or disrupt sleep. Let me explain with an analogy. Think of your bloodstream like a highway, and amino acids are the delivery trucks. Some proteins send all the trucks at once, like fast digesting whey. You get a flood of amino acids, but it's gone in an hour or two. Others, like casein, release trucks slowly over 6 to 8 hours, giving your body a steady drip of the exact materials it needs to preserve muscle through the entire night. That's why casein protein is considered the gold standard for nighttime muscle maintenance. In fact, a study published in the Journal of Nutrition found that 30 grams of casein consumed 30 minutes before sleep significantly increased muscle protein synthesis throughout the night, especially in resistance-trained individuals. The researchers concluded that pre-sleep protein ingestion is an effective strategy to augment overnight recovery. And that's not all. Slow digesting proteins before bed also support higher morning energy levels, better blood sugar control, reduced nighttime cortisol spikes, improved sleep depth and quality. So what's the best pre-bed protein strategy? Here are the top science-backed options based on absorption rate, leucine content, and metabolic impact. 1 point. Casein protein. Micellar casein. Absorption. Slow 6 to 8 hours. Leucine, 2.3 gram. Serving day. Best for long-lasting muscle protection. Deeper sleep. How to use. Mix 1 scoop with water or almond milk. 30 to 60 minutes before bed. 2 cottage cheese. Low fat or full fat. Absorption. Moderate slow. Leucine 2.5 gram per 1.5 cups. Additional benefit, natural casein, probiotics, calcium. Best for whole food option with added gut benefits. 3. Collagen plus glycine coconut oil DIY blend. Absorption, medium slow. Leucine. Lower but supports liver, cortisol, and joint health. Best for keto or fasting individuals who don't tolerate dairy well. How to use, mix 1 scoop collagen, floss 3 gram glycine, floss 1 TSP coconut oil in warm water. What to avoid? Whey isolate, excellent post-workout, but too fast for bedtime. High-carb snacks, spike insulin, impair growth hormone. Large meals, disrupt sleep, digestion, and circadian rhythm. Bonus tip, add magnesium glycinate or zinc. Both support muscle repair, hormonal balance, and better sleep quality. A 200 to 400 milligram dose of magnesium glycinate 30 minutes before bed can further enhance protein synthesis and calm cortisol. So here's the takeaway. If you want to preserve and rebuild muscle while you sleep, a small dose of slow digesting protein before bed is one of the most powerful and overlooked tools you can use. It's simple, it's natural, and it's backed by decades of research in both sports science and clinical nutrition. And when you pair the strategy with stabilized blood sugar and targeted amino acids, which we've already covered, you create the perfect environment for your body to repair, not tear down. Coming up next, we'll talk about something most people don't think about. Liver glycogen, the silent player in muscle preservation, and how it affects your overnight fuel supply and cortisol balance. We've covered cortisol, amino acids, and protein. But there's one more critical factor that decides whether your body protects or sacrifices your muscle overnight. It's called liver glycogen, and it might be the most underestimated piece of the entire nighttime metabolism puzzle. Here's what's really going on inside your body. Your brain runs almost entirely on glucose, and during the night, especially during long stretches of fasting like sleep, your brain doesn't just power down, it actually becomes even more active during REM cycles. But your brain can't store glucose, so it relies heavily on your liver to release glucose from its stored reserves, a supply called liver glycogen to keep blood sugar stable while you sleep. And here's the key. If your liver glycogen gets too low at night, your body panics and starts breaking down muscle tissue to convert amino acids into glucose. That process is called gluconeogenesis, and it's how your body protects the brain at the expense of your lean mass. Don, let's break this down with a simple analogy. Think of your liver as a backup generator that powers your brain while you sleep. The glycogen stored in your liver is the fuel in that generator. If the tank is full, your brain hums along smoothly all night. But if the tank is empty due to fasting, stress, or very low-carb eating, the generator pulls energy from wherever it can, and that usually means your muscles. This is especially common in people who follow intermittent fasting or OMAD, those doing keto or carnivore without strategic carb timing, individuals with poor liver function or fatty liver, anyone under chronic stress, which depletes liver glycogen faster. So what can you do to keep your liver glycogen tank just full enough without ruining your fat-burning, fasting, or sleep quality? Here's where smart nutrition and timing come in. Nighttime liver glycogen optimization protocol. 1. Targeted glycine intake. Glycine is a glucogenic amino acid, meaning it can help buffer blood sugar and support liver detox without spiking insulin. 3 to 5 grams before bed with collagen or in powder form provides liver-friendly support without breaking a fast. 2. Small amount of MCT or coconut oil. Medium-chain triglycerides give your liver quick, usable energy and help reduce the pressure to break down muscle for fuel. Try 1 TSP of MCT oil in warm tea or with collagen at night. This is keto-friendly and doesn't elevate insulin. Casein protein or cottage cheese. As covered earlier, these slow-digesting proteins not only provide amino acids, but also help stabilize liver glycogen usage by trickling in glucogenic substrates. Tiny carb boost, if not strict keto. If you're not doing strict keto, adding 5 to 10 grams of complex carbs, like knife small sweet potato or a few berries, before bed can refill just enough liver glycogen to prevent cortisol spikes without interfering with fat burning. 5. Support your liver function long-term. If your liver is sluggish, it can't store or release glycogen properly, which increases the risk of nighttime muscle breakdown. Nutrients like choline, milk thistle, NAC, and B-complex vitamins help restore healthy liver metabolism over time. Pun? What the research shows. A study in Cell Metabolism 2021 found that liver glycogen depletion during sleep triggers gluconeogenesis in proteolysis, muscle breakdown, as a compensatory survival mechanism. Another study in the American Journal of Physiology confirmed that even mild liver glycogen depletion in the evening can increase overnight cortisol and muscle protein breakdown, especially in calorie-restricted or low-carb individuals. So here's the bottom line. Your liver is not just a detox organ, it's a fuel tank for your brain during sleep. And if it runs out, your muscles pay the price. The good news? You don't need to eat a huge carb meal or ruin your fasting protocol. Just a small intentional addition of glycine, MCT, or slow-digesting protein can preserve liver glycogen and keep your metabolism anabolic, not catabolic, overnight. If this strategy is helping you connect the dots, hit that like button and consider subscribing. I share practical, science-based tools like this every day to help you optimize your metabolism and protect your health naturally. Next, we'll put it all together with the final section before the conclusion. Exactly what to eat before bed, the ideal protocol, foods, timing, and why it works. We've now built the full physiological picture. Muscle breaks down overnight if cortisol spikes. That happens when blood sugar drops and liver glycogen runs out. Leucine and slow-digesting proteins are essential to flip on muscle repair, and certain nutrients can prevent this muscle loss without interfering with fat burning, fasting, or sleep quality. So let's put it all together. Here's your ideal pre-bed protocol. A small strategic snack or supplement combo that tells your body, you've got what you need. No need to break down muscle tonight. Timing, 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Why this window? It gives enough time for digestion to begin, amino acids to start circulating, and blood sugar to stabilize without interfering with deep sleep onset or growth hormone release. Avoid eating right at bedtime. It can suppress melatonin, raise body temperature, and disrupt circadian signals. Macronutrient profile, 20 to 30 gram. Slow digesting protein. 2.5 to 3 gram leucine, optional 3 to 5 gram glycine or 1 TSP MCT coconut oil. Optional non-keto 5 to 10 gram slow carbs, low in sugar, low in insulin load. This combo supports stable glucose, DINE, cortisol reduction, liver glycogen buffer, muscle protein synthesis, DEN, enhanced deep sleep, best pre-bed options, science-backed choices. Option 1, micellar casein shake, gold standard. 1 scoop micellar casein protein. Optional, add 3 dream glycine plus 1 TSP MCT oil, mix with unsweetened almond milk or water. Why it works. Casein digests over 6 to 8 hours, providing a slow, steady stream of amino acids. Glycine supports liver detox and neurotransmitter balance. MCT gives your liver a clean fuel source to prevent gluconeogenesis. Option 2, cottage cheese plus collagen. 1 cup full-fat cottage cheese, 1 scoop collagen peptides. Optional, sprinkle cinnamon for blood sugar balance. Why it works. Cottage cheese is rich in casein and naturally high in leucine. Collagen adds glycine and proline, which buffer cortisol and repair connective tissue. Option 3, collagen tea, keto-friendly, fasting safe. 1 scoop collagen peptides, 3 gram glycine or glycine-rich collagen, 1 TSP coconut oil or MCT oil, mix into warm herbal tea or hot water. Why it works. This supports blood sugar stability without carbs or insulin spikes. Perfect for those doing intermittent fasting or keto, but still want to prevent muscle breakdown. Option 4, hybrid snack. If not strict keto. A small sweet potato, about 8 grams carbs. 1 scoop collagen or 2 boiled eggs. Why it works. A tiny carb dose refills liver glycogen, just enough to keep cortisol low. Pairing it with protein prevents insulin surges and keeps you in fat-burning mode overnight. What to avoid? High-sugar bedtime snacks. They spike insulin and crash blood sugar. Large meals disrupt melatonin and sleep quality. Alcohol depletes liver glycogen and worsens overnight catabolism. Eating too early, 5 to 6 plus hours before bed, with no protein top-up. A 2020 meta-analysis in Nutrients confirmed that pre-sleep protein, particularly casein, improves overnight muscle protein synthesis without affecting lipolysis, fat burning. Another study in sports medicine noted better body composition outcomes in athletes and adults who included 30 grams of slow-digesting protein before bed. The nighttime muscle saver checklist. Did you get at least 2.5 grams of leucine? Is your protein slow digesting? Did you include glycine, collagen, or MCT for liver support? Did you avoid carbs unless strategically needed for glycogen? If you check those boxes, you've created a hormone-friendly, metabolism-boosting, muscle-preserving environment during sleep. So here's your challenge tonight. Pick just one of these strategies and try it. Tomorrow morning, notice how you feel. Are you more rested, less bloated, feeling leaner, or more solid? That's your body responding to metabolic harmony, the opposite of silent muscle loss. We'll wrap everything up next with a final conclusion that recaps the key takeaways and gives you a practical next step to implement this long term. Let's bring it all together. Every night while you sleep, your body makes a decision. Do I rebuild and repair? Or do I break down and conserve? And that decision hinges on a few small overlooked metabolic factors, things most people never consider. Do you have enough liver glycogen to fuel your brain until morning? Do you have leucine and other key amino acids available to trigger muscle repair? Are your cortisol levels balanced, or are they secretly rising at 3 a.m. and pulling fuel from your muscles? We've walked through the core physiology, and here's the truth. You don't lose muscle because you're not training hard enough. You lose muscle because your internal fuel systems aren't being supported at night. And once muscle starts declining, everything gets harder. Fat burning slows. Insulin sensitivity drops. Your resting metabolism decreases. You feel more tired, more hungry, more inflamed, and your body starts prioritizing survival instead of performance. But the good news is, this can all be turned around with one simple habit: adding the right kind of protein or amino acid blend 30 to 60 minutes before bed. Let's recap the key strategies. Digesting protein like micellar casein or cottage cheese. Leucine-rich options to flip on muscle protein synthesis. Glycine, collagen, and/or MCT to stabilize cortisol and support liver glycogen. DOD, optional small carb, bump, 5 to 10 gram. If you're not strict keto, then avoiding large or sugary meals right before bed. This isn't just a tip for athletes, it's for anyone who wants better energy in the morning. A stronger, leaner metabolism, protection against age-related muscle loss, better sleep, better recovery, and better fat burning. And the best part, you don't need to overhaul your diet. You don't need to take expensive supplements. You just need to be intentional and feed your body what it actually needs during its most restorative window, your sleep. So here's your challenge. Try just one of the protocols from this video tonight. Mix up a collagen tea. Try a scoop of casein, add a little glycine or MCT. Start small, track how you feel, and build from there. The compound effect over weeks and months, you'll protect your muscle, balance your hormones, sleep deeper, and finally see results that last. Your body is already trying to heal itself. You just have to give it the support to do so. If this video added value, hit the like button and subscribe to join thousands of others using real science to take control of their health naturally. See you in the next one.